Hello everyone, it's me again. My name is Tang and you can call me T. I am a freshman of Da Nang University of Science and Technology and my major is about automotive and engineering technology. Today I'll tell you 20 conversation and each conversation was is about two people, one man and one woman, usually two women too, or two men. And first, the first conversation is about two people, one man and one woman. First, the woman said that she had finished with her letter, so she wanted to have lunch then. And the man agreed with her, and he explained he was starving because he only had time for coffee that morning. And so the woman suggested going for lunch then. And she explained the restaurant just across the streets. Now let's move on. Next conversation, number two. And first the man complained that that line was too long, and he supposed that they would be waiting there forever. And the women said that they will buy a few things. They will bought a few things. So she suggested using the express checkout lane. Finally, the man agreed with her, and finally the man agreed with her because he was so tired of waiting. Now let's move on to the next conversation, number three. First, the women wondered how long Sarah was been working there, and the man was thinking for a while, and he replied that he had interviewed her for a month ago, and she had started works, and he works there for 3 weeks ago, and finally the women commented that she was doing very well, and she had thought that Sarah had been there for several months. Next conversation, number four. This conversation is about two people. First, the man or the bookstore clerk wanted to know how she would like to pay for new books, and the woman said that he would like to take a check, and the man agreed with her. However, he wanted to see her driver license or some of identification. Now let's move on next conversation, the fifth conversation. First, the woman said that she really needed a break that month, and after have been working so hard, and the man agreed with her. He explained that they both needed a vacation, so he suggested going to the beach, and finally the woman agreed with him. Now let's move on to the next conversation, number six. First, the man wanted to know if Tina was sick the day before, because Tina had missed the staff meeting, and the women disagreed with him, and she explained that she was stuck in traffic. And finally, the man was remembered about the accident, and he wanted to confirm if that accident downtown had caused a big traffic jam. Now let's move on next conversation. The 7. First, the women wanted to know the man's opinion about his vacation, and the man replied to her that he had never been so bored, and he explained that it was raining the whole time. And the woman commented that was too bad because she know he was expecting to have fun and relax. Let's move on next conversation. Number 8. First, the man wanted to know the woman's opinion about her new job, and the woman replied that it was great except for one thing. So she said she only got paid once a month, and finally the man commented that was not good, that wasn't good, and because he got his paycheck every 2 weeks. Now let's move on next conversation. Number 9. First, the woman was wondering if the person who just called Sam was his boss, and the man replied that that was right, and he explained that his boss wanted him to take some paperwork downstairs. So the women offered to drop it off down to the stair for him. Now let's move on the next conversation. Number 10. First, the man wanted to know if the woman had read the report that Jack had wrote. First, the man wanted to know if the woman had read the reports that Jack had wrote. The woman replied that it was terrible, and she suggested they should tell him to rewrite it before he bought sonnets. And finally, the man agreed with her. Because they didn't want him to get fired. Now let's move on to the 11th conversation. First, the women complained that things weren't good those days, and she explained that the prices continued to rise. And the man agreed with her, and he said it was getting harder and harder to find a job. And finally, the women agreed with him, and she said the cost of housing was going up too. Now let's move on to the next conversation. Number 12. First, the man announced that he was taking that jacket right back to the store. The woman was surprised by that. She wanted to know the reason, and the man explained that he had only worn it once, and it already had lost a burden. First, the woman asked the man's opinion about her new shoes, and she said she had got them at the new department store. Then the man replied to her that the shoe was nice, but he would never go to that store. and he explained that it was too big and disorganized. Then the woman was surprised by that. She supposed that the people who worked there was very helpful. Next, let's go to the number 14 conversation. First, the man wanted to know where his package is. He thought it was on his desk, and the woman disagreed with him, and she said she was it was on the shelf. And the man wondered what shelf, and finally he saw his package on the shelf by the door. Next, let's go to the 15th conversation. First, the woman asked the man if he was ready to go, and she said the train left at 3. So then the man told her to give him 10 minutes. He explained that he had a few sentences to write. Finally, the woman agreed with him, and he wanted him to hurry up because she was so tired of waiting him. Let's go to the 16th conversation. First, the man announced that they were having a small birthday celebration for Steve that day. The woman commented that was so nice, and she wondered where will it be, and she wondered where it will be, and she wondered where would it be, and the man replied that it was in Sean's office, and he said it was just one shop, so he wanted her to hurry back after her lunch hour. Next, let's move on to the next conversation, number 17. First, the woman wanted to know the man's opinion about the new photocopy machine. The man said he didn't like it because he couldn't know how it works. So the woman offered to show him how to use it, and she said it was so easy to learn it. Now let's move on to the next conversation, number 18. First, the man said they had planned to go to leave the office at 5 and go to the movie. So he would like to invite her. The women really wanted to go, but she couldn't because she already had the ticket to the baseball game that evening. Finally, the man agreed with her, and he said he would see her at home then. Now let's move on the next conversation, number 19. First, the woman really wanted Sean to go for lunch with them because she was very hungry. Then the man invited her to Sean with them, and he was wondering if the woman didn't like the restaurant. Finally, the woman disagreed with him, and she explained that she had too much work to do. Now let's move on to the last conversation. First, the woman one said to the woman two that her secretary had left the packages on her desk, and the woman one was wondering who had sent it. Then the woman two replied It was just, it was some paper. It was some paper her lawyer wanted her to sign. Finally, the woman one thought. Finally, the woman one said she had thought it was something interesting, like a present from her husband. That's the end, and thank you for listening. Goodbye, and hope to see you again.